Hey, New Orleans. How's everyone doing? Thank you all so much for being here and joining Amy and I for this conversation. Amy and I have known each other for a long time. Uh, and just to formally introduce her, Amy DuBois Barnett. She's the author of If I Ruled the World. Yes, yes, yes. Let's give her flowers. And so we're going to chat about the book. We're going to chat about what informed the book, Amy's marvelous career trajectory, which I was fangirling over backstage. Seriously, I was. We'll get more into that. But Amy, so let's just start with your career in media and the fact that you've worked in media for about 30 years? Close to? Oh, no. But this is your first novel. You've written a book. You'd written a book before.
Yes, I have.
More of a. The mic isn't. Now I think it is.
Is it on now? Perfect. Okay, there we go.
But why this novel now?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's so much that goes into that. First of all, my novel, If I Rule the World, is inspired by my experience as an editor-in-chief. And I actually started this book when I was still an editor-in-chief. I left corporate media a few years ago after many positions that we could maybe talk about. But, I started this book when I was still editor-in-chief back in the early 2000s. And I wrote about 100 pages and then I put it aside. I put it aside for a bunch of reasons, in part to I wrote an advice book for Black women, an NAACP Image Award nominated advice book for Black women. So I wrote that, and then my career really took off, and I didn't have the creative bandwidth to finish this book, right? So I put it aside for about 15, or according to Bridgette, 30, 40 years. And then I picked it back up. And when I picked it back up, I realized the themes I really wanted to explore, right? And the story never left me the general plot, but then all of a sudden the themes became more urgent. And I realized I wanted to write about this era. So my book is set in the late 1990s in New York City, right? At the intersection of music and magazines and a little bit of fashion. And we all know, from hearing about the reckoning that happened in the music industry, right? And everything that went on during that era, we all are starting to understand what that era was like. And so I wanted to write about what it was like as a smart, ambitious young woman navigating the music industry, navigating urban publishing in that time, the misogyny, the sexual violence, because it was a sexy and glamorous and fun time. Do not get me wrong, I had a full 2 hands in the air blast, but beneath all the glamour, it was a perilous time to be a woman, and I wanted to explore that. And I also wanted to explore the cost of ambition, right? What it's like for Black women to find our voice and find our path and be independent and really become empowered. So that was like a big theme that I wanted to explore as well. And all that just felt really urgent for me when I picked this book back up.
Right, and I kind of buried the lead, which we say in the industry, but Amy has receipts. So she downplayed, I was editor-in-chief. So let me run them a little bit, okay? She served as the first Black woman editor-in-chief of a mainstream publication, Teen People, correct? Okay. She also held executive positions at Essence. We're going to get back to that. Y'all didn't know that? Some of y'all didn't know that, right? This is a little bit of a
I was the fashion and beauty features editor of Essence back in the day.
A little bit of a homecoming. Harper's Bazaar.
I was the deputy editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar.
What did you do? Was it LeBron's? There was something. What? Tell us.
LeBron's cover.
No.
Oh.
The website. The things you've done in digital media. Can you just quickly tell us a little about that as well?
I was editor-in-chief of Honey magazine. Got some Honey girls here. So I was EIC of Honey. I was editor-in-chief of Ebony magazine. Okay. And then I was deputy EIC of Harper's Bazaar, right? And then I pivoted to go into digital. So I helped ESPN launch The Undefeated, right, which was a culture and sports site. And then I went on to become the chief content officer for The Griot. And then I ran digital for BET. And then I was chief content officer for
Flex. Okay.
for another company called Outside Inc., where I ran 16 brands across sports. And then that's when I left corporate media to return to my original dream of being a novelist and write If I Ruled the World. So that's what it was.
A lot of lessons in that. Yes. Yes. A lot of layers, right? You don't have to, you can put something down and come back to it. Yeah.
30, 40 years later.
So If I Ruled the World, which you touched on, is filled with glitzy fashion. It's set in New York City, so come on. Steamy sex, which we enjoy reading about too, or having, or both. Delicious, delicious drama, and fierce ambition. Why do black women deserve this type of escape?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you. Because one of the reasons I really love that you asked me that, because the tone of this book is really intentional. It's really it's a fun book. It's laced with humor. It's sexy. I wanted it to be an escape for black women. Exactly that. I wanted you guys to have, and black men too. This isn't just for black women. I wanted it to be a fun read, but I also wanted it to be smart and layered and to explore some really urgent themes. But above all, I really did want it to be an escape, and I thought we deserved it because, honestly, I think that, we already know we are holding everything down. And I love the fact that we have all kinds of escapes in the romance book world. We've got all kinds of escapes in the romantasy book world. I read all those books myself, don't get me wrong. But I thought in the literature world, we could use another type of escape. And so that's what I was really just trying to give us, while we explored these themes. So it's a fun read.
Yes, and you did. So you're working with director-producer Lee Daniels. Yes, another flex to bring this book to Hulu. Yes.
I know, right? Sweet. I keep answering your questions before you ask them. I'm sorry.
So when you were writing If I Ruled the World, did you envision it on the screen? And if so, on the small screen or the large screen, and why?
Okay, so, first of all, you guys, right? I'm working with Oscar-nominated Lee Daniels on the television adaptation of my debut novel. Like, is that not crazy? I'm still tripping over it. But and I'm writing it myself, so I'm with him. So I'm the a writing executive producer. So I'm writing the pilot, which is another insane. I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. So when I was first writing my book, right, back when I started it, I did not envision it on screen at all. It never entered my mind. But then when I picked it back up, and I really started to get into it, and I started to really sort of near the end of the editing process, I was just seeing, I'm a visual person, and I'm very visual writer, and I could just see the scenes like playing out across my mind's eye, and I realized that this should be on screen. Like, I just felt it in my gut. And I manifested a TV show versus a film, because I feel like there's at least 2 seasons in the book itself. And then because it's inspired by my experience as an editor-in-chief, I have so many stories in my mind. Although I'm going to say this, though. I don't know if you're going to ask this question, because some of y'all be reading this book like it's a memoir. This is a work of fiction. I am not the protagonist, okay? Just, you'll understand once you start getting into the book, but, it's inspired by it. This is not my personal story, okay? There's a reason why we're chuckling up here.
Right. So that's a perfect segue. Your protagonist, Nikki Rose, is she's super smart and driven, which you obviously are as well. She's a little bit messy, but we love that. We like our characters to be a little messy because it makes them more relatable, because we're all a little messy, or a lot, depending on, when you talk to us in life. But what do you hope that readers learn from Nikki?
So Nikki is she's messy, right? She's on a journey. I really wanted readers to kind of see her in this moment of transition. So she is 29. Well, when we first meet her, the story starts when she's 29, right? And for so many of us, at least for me and so many women I know, that kind of 29 to early 30s was when we really were adults, but we came into our womanhood, right? We really started to kind of figure out how we wanted to walk through the world as women. And so Nikki's like at the precipice of that journey, right? She's on one hand very smart, very driven, and very capable, but she's also, making questionable decisions and figuring out who she wants to be. And so we follow her on a journey where she ultimately becomes who she feels comfortable being. She becomes herself, and it's only when she becomes empowered, she finds her voice, that things fall in place for her, both professionally and personally. And that's the lesson that I want. I really want it because it's inspiring. And I wanted women to understand that it's through our own independence, it's through our own empowerment that we're going to find things, that things will fall in place for us. So that was my ultimate message.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the book is set in the late 1990s, or, starts in the late 1990s. There is such an affinity right now for everything 1990s. Like, the youngins are like buying out all the, like, at all the thrift shops and the secondhand. It's like a thing. Y'all, Yes. So, why do you think there is so much fascination? And for the young Gen Zers, but also for those of us who are a little older, I guess, that are like, this nostalgia for us. Why do you think that is? And because the timing is perfect. Like,
I know.
I don't know if you planned it.
No, how could you? I mean, for those of you who don't know, the traditional first of all, I started this book in 2004, right? So there's no way I could have possibly known. And then the traditional publishing process is so long, you guys. I finished this book in 2023. It went to auction in a little flex. It went to auction at the top of 2024, and it was acquired by my wonderful publisher like in January, February 2024. And then it came out in January of 2026. So the publishing process is so long. I mean, I would have been some kind of a alchemist witch if I had somehow planned. I had no idea. I think that the 90s are really fascinating for so many reasons, in part because, it was such a, it was the heyday of magazines. It was the golden era of hip hop. Music was so great, but also it was one of the last periods of time when we were all so present everywhere we were. We didn't have our phones everywhere, right? I don't know if any of you guys were like partying in New York City at that time, but it was the most fun I've ever had in my life because we were just present. People partied at the party, right? Because you were just there, and people went to concerts and were just at the concert. You went to events and you were just at the event. You weren't recording everything. And I'm not, I know I sound like a Luddite, and I don't mean to sound that way, but it's just that there was a different level of presence, I think, at events that made everything feel really authentic and really fun in a different kind of a way. And I think we all yearn for that a little bit, as we sort of get swept through this next wave of sort of mass communication and AI.
I hadn't thought about all
also
those.
The
fashion. Yes. I hadn't thought about it that way. It's touched on so many, accurate points. Another point, Nikki is a magazine editor. She's working her way up the masthead. I think I've seen you touch on this on social media. The success of The Devil Wears Prada and then the sequel, we love it, right? I went to see it. The sequel, went to see the first one, like the first weekend it came out. But we really appreciate that you wrote this book also because our stories aren't told in the same way, like nothing against The Devil Wears Prada, but we need to share our stories, which is why this space has been filled all weekend. Like, we need to feel seen. And you made so many, so I guess this is more of a comment, but please, add to it or speak on it. You made so many black girls and black women that work in publishing feel seen. So yeah, was that part of that? Was that a yearning of your own? Because again, I saw you post about The Devil Wears Prada. No shade, but shade.
You said no shade, but shade. I mean, a through line throughout my career in media. Of course, it's been representing the black community. It's been the honor of my career and my life, frankly, to have represented the black folks across so many different media brands for so many years. But a real through line for me is representing Black women, right? Like this is my heart, and so telling our stories in every possible way has just been, again, the joy of my life, And so I did it as a journalist for decades, and now to be able to do it as a storyteller in this particular way is just incredible. I just appreciate us so much. I appreciate the diversity of who we are. And I also appreciate. I've always appreciated us, but more than ever, we were talking about this backstage, how really we all we got, sisters. Like we all we got. Like we have got to circle the wagon, support each other. You already know. Like, and I don't want to, we have to get political, what have you, but I just really have been very personally appreciative of the way in which Black women have shown up for me in my book. My Delta sorors, I don't know if we have any sorors here, have shown up for me. Hello, yeah. Have shown up for me in my book. And it has really been very heartwarming, and I think reflective of how we roll in general as a community, and also reflective of, I think, also, some of the things I've done within the community. So I'm talking all around it. But so if you like, all this to say, if you like The Devil Wears Prada, but wish it were blacker, more hip hop, right? then this is your book.
And no, I love everything you said, because even if you work in the medical field, you work in the law field, you work in politics or a non-for-profit, you know what that's like. You know what it's like to be the only Black woman in the conference room or in the break room. Or I remember when Barack Obama was elected the first time, and I was talking to a friend, because in essence, we were watching the inauguration. We watched everything, like in the conference room. We were all in. And she said she worked someplace where her director demanded that no one watch it anywhere in the office, like their common spaces. So it's heavy when you think about the work that you're doing to ensure that women like us feel seen.
Especially when they're trying to erase us. When they're trying to erase our history, erase our stories, make sure we're not seen, disempower us, make sure that we have no future. Sorry.
No. Talk your stuff, Amy. So, I mentioned that you were at Essence as fashion and beauty features editor, and then lifestyle, right?
Oh, yes, exactly. Yes, I got promoted.
So what does it feel like to be here this weekend?
Oh my God. Essence always feels like home. When I was in my 20s, I got an MFA, a Master's in Fine Arts in Creative Writing, and I won an award for a short story that I wrote. And the person who presented me with the award was the then editor-in-chief of Essence magazine. And we stayed in touch because I had worked in fashion prior to getting my degree. I've reinvented so many times. I was working in media to support myself while I was getting my master's. And because I had done that, when I graduated from my program, the then EIC of Essence offered me the role of fashion and beauty features editor. And so that was how I got into the kind of the magazine business in a major way. Essence was my first major magazine that I'd ever worked for. And of course it was obviously an incredible experience to, walk into the Essence offices back in the day. It was a different experience because it was, again, the heyday of magazines. It was a huge team. And it was just such a gorgeous experience. And so I really, I loved it very much. And I love being back here now. It feels like a full circle moment for me. I'm really appreciative.
Awesome. So let's have some fun, because if I ruled the world, of course, the song Nas is like my favorite rapper of all time. So tell us, like maybe 3 or 4, however many you can think of off the top of your head, if you created a soundtrack for the book, like what other songs would be on it? That's fun, right?
Okay. Obviously, if I rule the world. Although I have to tell you, I love Nas It to my soul. I literally named my book If I Rule the World, right? But I've never been more sick of a song in my life. I didn't process that when I was, every social media anyway, probably Dirt Off My Shoulder by Jay-Z. I DJ'd very poorly and very briefly in New York City, like a couple of times. But the first song I would well, no, it wasn't Dirt Off My Shoulder. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm saying it wrong. That's my go-to on the dance floor. No, the first song I used to play would be Hypnotized by Biggie. That's true. So my first song from all my sets every time, Hypnotized by Biggie, and then I would end with Rock and Roll by Mos Def. Okay, so anyway, but I think I feel more comfortable talking about like artists than like specific songs. Definitely Aaliyah, definitely Jill Scott, obviously Lauryn Hill, Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown, MC Lyte, Queen Latifah, Nas, Jay-Z, right, Biggie, right, most, and then, you know, Arrested Development, we got to get up in there, right, you know what I'm saying? Why am I blanking on the name? I can see the name of the album. Anyway, so yes, all of that.
Well, thank you, Amy. And you all know there's an Aaliyah tribute here during festival this weekend. So, okay, well, that's our time. We have to go. But thank you all so much for coming. Please, please, please know that Amy's book is available for sale. Are you signing copies?
I'm signing copies. My book's available for sale
To the
in
left.
the for sale area, wherever that is. Sorry, y'all. Wherever. Please come buy my book.
Yes, say hi.
And if you love it, I do want to just say this one thing. Book marketing is so very hard, you guys. So if you don't like my book, y'all could just keep quiet. But if you do like my book, please recommend it to your friends, to your book clubs. Please do leave me a review on Amazon because that impacts the way in which the book is presented to prospective readers. I would, if you love it, if you buy it and love it, I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much, sisters. I appreciate
Thank you all.
Oh, they gotta go. We gotta go. They're lucky.